Hi, Shelby. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining today. I really appreciate it. These chats are really meant to be like a profile of a potential career in the environmental field, which is quite broad. So we've had everybody
For
from
sure.
river science to education to marketing, like and in between. So I think it might be easiest if we start out with you giving us a bit of a background as to how you got to the position that you're in today.
Amazing, sure. Well, it's a long story, as I'm sure everyone else is as well. Um, will I start maybe before university? I feel like is that kind of the target audience?
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing. Usually, the other folks that we've had on these chats have started out with either if they had a passion before going to university,
For
then they
sure.
talked about it, but a lot of them actually realized that this was what they were interested in while they were there. They took like a one-off
Okay,
class, but they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I want." But if you knew that before then absolutely, that's where we can start.
cool. We'll start there. Yeah, so it definitely would have been as a teenager for me. I mean, I know a lot of, so I work for the Ontario Woodlot Association, which is a nonprofit in Ontario, and they generally focus on forestry. And I'd say a lot of the experiences with the people who I work with also really enjoyed being in nature, being outside when they were a kid. And that's what I found myself. So I grew up in more of a rural background, would go on walks and stuff as a kid, really enjoyed seeing what was out there. But it wasn't until high school. I had a biology class in grade 12, and we had one small unit, probably only a few weeks in ecology. And I thought, well, this is pretty neat. I think we were learning about population demographics for deer. Maybe patterns can oscillate with populations, predator and prey populations. And I just thought that was so fascinating. Um, Now, at this time, this was in grade 12 biology. At this time, I'd already applied for programs in kinesiology, so something a little bit different. But at the time that I had this biology class, I was kind of thinking, I kind of want to see what else is out there in the world before I start into university, college, post-secondary education. So I was already kind of thinking maybe I would do something what people call a gap year. So they take off a year or so between high school and university or college. So I ended up taking that route. And in uh, those final, I guess, months of my grade 12 year, I found myself just kind of doing a deep dive into ecology and natural sciences and just kind of following my interests and seeing where that took me. So I feel like anyone who's watching is probably doing that themselves. They're probably following their interest, and this is likely one of those things. But that's something that worked out quite well for me. So I ended up not accepting those offers for kinesiology programs. And instead, I started planning my year off. And part of that was I wanted to see, okay, is this environmental stuff really for me? Is this what I'd really enjoy doing? So I had to do a co-op still through high school. But I did kind of what my parents' generation would have called a grade 13. So I ended up going back to high school for one more semester. And I ended up taking a kinesiology class because I wanted to take it in grade 12, but didn't have the time or the space in order to do it. So I took that class. Don't remember if I took any others, but I took a co-op, and that was the key there. And so I'm from the Peterborough area, and my high school was just down the road from Trent University. And Trent University has one of the labs that's associated with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. And I was the lucky student that got to do her co-op placement there. So this would have started when a lot of my friends from my grade were going and starting their university and college education or apprenticeships, wherever they took them, wherever they decided to take themselves. I was doing this co-op, which was an awesome experience. It was in a fish lab in at Trent University. Worked with some great people who are very passionate about musky fishing, which I wasn't so passionate about. Must have never been much of a fisherman or fisher lady myself, but they really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed learning about the ecology of it. Thought it was quite fascinating. Um, I was doing some really kind of laboratory type work, benthic invertebrate identification. So it's what fish eat, at least the smaller fish would eat invertebrates. And so I was identifying them, and they would tell you how healthy the water conditions are. But I'm sure you know all about this yourself, Shelby. But for anyone listening who's not too familiar with it, that's what benthics are. So I did that for about 5 months. And at that time, was researching the environmental programs that were available in Ontario. And so Peterborough, of course, has Trent University. They've got Fleming College, also has the Frost campus in Lindsay. And they, of course, have the Fish and Wildlife program. They have forestry tech programs, lots of options. So I'd applied to I think it was Fish and Wildlife. There was a bridge program between Fleming and Trent, so that was the one that I'd applied for. And then I'd applied for Guelph, University of Guelph, and a few others. But the nice thing about Guelph is that they have a co-op program. And similar to what I did after high school, I really wanted to get the full breadth of experience in different areas of environmental work, different types of work, working with different types of species. So that's the route that I went down. Studied at University of Guelph, and that's kind of how things got started for me. That gives you a starting point.
Okay, great. Well, that was awesome. Would you mind leapfrogging off of that then into the position that you have now? Like, how did you end up in the position that you're in at the
For
moment?
sure. Yeah, so so I mentioned the Ontario Woodlot Association. I am their communications manager. Now, kind of, I guess, how I got into, so I studied environmental science at Guelph, majored in ecology, and then how did I get into communications from there? So I always enjoyed reading and writing, all like always. Um, and then yeah, it's something that I always enjoyed. The assignments weren't the most fun in university, but I still found myself when I was volunteering. I volunteered with the environmental science student program, well, their student society, I guess, council. And then same for the college. It was the College of Biological Sciences, and each of those groups had a communications role or a communications committee within the council. So I volunteer for those positions. And with the environmental science student council, they had a newsletter that they put out. So I was putting together that newsletter, found it quite interesting. Um, the the professor that I did my undergrad thesis with, she was quite connected to the Botanical Society of America. And so I was subscribed to their newsletters, and they had a volunteer position looking for people, students interested in science communication to write tweets about recent papers that come out. So I volunteered for that as well. So I just kind of found this pattern that I was usually volunteering to do these types of things. And then as many people, once you get into environmental work, you find that there's lots of opportunities, so many opportunities, especially in the summertime around field work. But they tend to be fewer and far between as field work season typically comes to an end for most areas. I mean that there's of course exceptions to that rule, but usually lots of opportunities in the summer, fewer fieldwork type opportunities in the winter, of course. And so during the winter, I'd find myself doing more communications types roles. So after university, I'd taken a communications contract with another nonprofit, um, communications, writing blogs, things like that. And following that, I did a brief stint in a native plant nursery greenhouse, which was very enjoyable. But I still kind of found myself thinking, I feel like I could make a bigger impact in the environmental sector if I applied my writing skills and interests and communicated about all the great work that all of these organizations are doing. So that's kind of what led me into communications. I started again looking at different programs and opportunities and classes and workshops that I could take. And I was actually planning on going back to doing a college program, a postgrad certificate in communications. But I had gone to this workshop. It's it's around seed collecting, going and knowing when cedar is ripe and ready to collect from trees and then storing them so that you can generate new populations of native seeds. And there I had met a woman who became my colleague. She was going back to school at the time. And we were talking about my interests and how I was interested in communications. And she said, "Huh, that's kind of a coincidence because I'm actually doing this program and my hours are going to be more geared towards school. So we actually have some work that we're looking to backfill. If you're interested, this is what we do. You should connect with my boss." I said, "Oh, that sounds exactly like what I'm looking for." So I ended up connecting with the boss, who was the former executive director of the Ontario Woodlot Association. We had a conversation on the phone, and he'd hired me on for a part-time 3-month contract. So I think I initially started out as 2 or 3 days a week. For just 3 months, but they were able to increase that as more work came up. And by the end of that 3-month contract, they liked my work, and they had more work for me to do, so I got extended and stayed on. And it's 3 years later now. So I'm now on more of a permanent basis, full-time hours, lots of work to do. But that's how I kind of got into this role. And being that it's communications, we have a membership magazine, so I help mostly edit articles, but also get articles as we've worked together on before, Shelby. I'll write a few articles. We, of course, have a website and social media channels, so I keep an eye on all of that. And being that we are a membership-based nonprofit organization, I'd often work with members on things that come up, help with different events that folks are planning with promoting those and getting news out to people. But that's how I got to where I am.
You in a nutshell. I
Me in a nutshell.
appreciate, yeah, I appreciate that greatly. Thank you so much. I think what you do is very interesting, and I am very grateful to have met you. It has launched off into other things.
Likewise.
Oh gosh, well, thanks. I'm very interested in learning about a project or event that, I guess, event more so in your case, that you've been a part of in the past or currently that is your favorite that you've had a chance to be a part of.
Oh, favorite, Shelby. How do you choose?
I know. Tough questions.
Oh, I've been a part of a lot of really amazing projects for so many different reasons. But I'll talk about the project that I was most recently involved in with the Ontario Woodlot Association. So each year we have an annual conference, and we really strive to have it in different areas of Ontario, being that it's a provincial organization, so that different folks have the opportunity to attend. And part of the organization, I suppose it would have been about 3 or 4 years ago now, I'd say 4 years ago, the Ontario Woodlot Association came together with another organization called the Eastern Ontario Model Forest. And there are model forests around the world, and one of them happens to be in Ontario. It's called the Ontario Model Forest Network. And so this organization that the OWA is very closely connected with, hosted, and through my involvement with the OWA, we hosted this international conference in May in the heart of the Eastern Ontario Model Forest in Kemptville, Ontario. So lots of rich history around forestry and agriculture in Kemptville. And yeah, just trying to sum it all up. But anyways, the International Model Forest Network is kind of the umbrella organization that connects all of these model forests together. The model forest came to fruition as an initiative of the International Model Forest Network. And so there's 60 of these model forests from around the world, approximately 60. There might be a few more in 30 different countries. So there are model forests not only in Canada, but there are model forests in Italy, in France, in Africa. There are model forests in Asia and Latin America. And all of these different organizations came together for the first time in 15 years to Kemptville, Ontario. So there was over 180 delegates that came, and it was years in the planning. But it was an opportunity for all of these people representing these different model forests from around the world to come together and share ideas and knowledge and exchange ideas. And there are people that have known each other for years but haven't seen each other in years. And so they were getting to meet again for the first time, for some of them, probably since the last International Model Forest Global Forum, 15 years prior. So that was amazing to see. It's getting to see people connect on, I'd say, shared goals and values, and exchange ideas, especially with the current, I guess, especially with climate change. It's great to have people get together and work towards a common goal. It was, yeah, an incredible week to be a part of. So we toured them around Eastern Ontario. They got to see different forests that are certified forests. So they're certified as sustainable under Forest Stewardship Council and Sustainable Forestry Initiative. And they got to see the boreal forest, which a lot of people had never seen before, and talk about issues that affect forests in this region of Ontario and compare it to impacts and the challenges that folks are encountering elsewhere. So it was just a really cool event to be a part of and a privilege to help be a part of the planning team.
That sounds great. When was this?
This was in May.
Oh, wow. Okay, this year. That's really exciting.
Yes.
Does it normally only happen every 15 years?
They strive to have it more frequently. I think they strive to normally have it about every 5 years, but of course, there's challenges like COVID made it a little bit difficult. But no, it was neat for folks that weren't able to come. A portion of the day, a portion of the week was also zoomed out, and they reached, I think, I want to say 2 million people online. It was just an astonishing number.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Well, if people haven't heard about it who are watching this now. Now they have, so you'll have 3
yeah.
million. No, I'm
There
joking.
we go.
By the end. But okay, well that's awesome. I think that that's one of my favorite projects that's now been spoken about by one of our guests. Just because, well, events, I suppose, not project, but I think that that's really cool. My background was in ecology as well
Oh,
before
nice.
branching off into river science and education.
Mhm.
So that
Branching off. I see what you did there.
Um, so usually the way that I wrap these up is I ask you one final question, which is what would be advice that you would give to people that are either thinking of entering university or college for this field, or young professionals, or folks that are still in their program at university and maybe still don't know what they want to do? What would be a piece of advice that you would give for that?
Yeah, so I mean, being still an early career professional myself, I'd probably focus on folks that are considering going down the environmental field or are at the end of their programs. I think the advice that I'd have, kind of what I was saying a little bit earlier, is I would just follow your interests. I mean, there's things that we need to get done, like assignments and chores and things like that, but whenever you have free time, just like what sparks your interest? Like what doesn't feel like work? Like what is just so exciting you want to learn more about? Or yeah, just I just recall being in first year university, my first ecology class, just being mind blown learning about wood frogs, or their heart rate slowed down, that it basically stopped beating, and ice fish, and just crazy things like this. My mind just blown. Like I found it so interesting. So I would just find those things like that, like things that you're just pique your interest. That would be my advice. And I think try different things. You never know what's gonna suit your fancy. I feel like with all the different jobs that I tried throughout my co-ops, that they're all different from what I'm doing now, but I enjoyed them all, and I definitely found aspects that I really enjoyed doing. Um, yeah, I would just try things out and see where you land. You can't go too wrong.
I agree with that advice, and I think even if you do co-ops in positions that you don't end up having later, they still give you transferable skills anyways, or at least a little bit more context.
References. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more context for what you're doing. Like you're in communications now, but had you not taken any ecology before, you wouldn't really understand what you were
Yeah, I can.
communicating right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
I'm not a
think,
forester, but I'm trained in ecology. It's, yeah,
right. Yeah. So I think that's a really good message that I try to um, communicate in these meetings as well is like there's no wasted opportunities, even if it's something
for
that
sure.
you ended up not liking or you didn't
It's an
pursue later.
experience.
Oh, for sure. And it gives you all these skills and background information and context for things later. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
well, great. Well, we're kind of ahead of time, just because we're just so
Great.
efficient, I suppose. Was there anything else that you were interested in promoting or communicating to viewers before we end today?
Oh, wow. Uh, I got to take this opportunity, I suppose. I feel like anybody who is interested in forestry, likes to get out into the woods, is interested in forest research, or maybe just spending more time in the forest in Ontario, check out the Ontario Woodlot Association. We are a member-based organization, and we do have student memberships, which are quite affordable. It's a great opportunity to meet like-minded people, and have opportunities to go out for walks in the woods, get a cool magazine, and learn some stuff, network a little bit. We have webinars. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, you guys also have in-person events that are
We
really
have
cool as well,
in-person
like for
events.
training
Yes.
and things like that, especially if you're a
Thanks, Shelby.
landowner.
Woodlot walks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Woodlot walks, tours. Yeah. Talks. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then your annual general meeting, everybody was so nice at the chapter that I attended. Was that earlier
That
this
would have
year?
been
That
Brant
last year?
chapter.
I think it was
I
last year
think
now at this
think
point.
so.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Time
Totally
flies.
flies. Yeah, I think that that's great. I think your organization is fantastic. I think you're wonderful, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you so much.
No problem at all, Shelby. Glad that you're doing this. I hope it helps somebody.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, with all the work that you're doing as well. And you guys have an e-newsletter. That's something that we need to
We
promote.
do. We
Well,
do.
you guys.
Yes. Yeah. You can subscribe.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I wish you the best of days, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks very much. Take care, Shelby.
Take care. Bye bye.